be in two parts. Okay, let's. Who had an issue with saguna and nirguna? Like if I was to ask Sorel or Sukumari or Karuna Kishori or Jyotirmai or any one of you, like, can you explain how the Vaishnavas use the word or speak of God being saguna and nirguna? Jacob, can you switch off? Oh, someone else has some feedback. Would you be able to answer that question? Okay, let's put it this way. Who would not be able to answer that question? Prabhu, give me a little bit more enthusiasm, please. Come on, Prabhu. I gave you two choices.
Okay.
Oh, Jacob, you wouldn't be able to answer that.
It has to do a.
Well, because I asked if anyone could not answer it.
No, I could answer that.
Okay.
Did you want me to go ahead and do that?
Well, Jyotirmai had begun, so let her finish.
It has to do a lot with the potencies that you explained before, like with qualities and without qualities. Since the Lord is a person and he has qualities, so that is the most important the most important part. Okay, it is impossible for him not to be also in a material form. So that is what as I'm concerned, Sagun has to do.
Okay, that's nice, but I want more. Can Jacob maybe elaborate on that?
I'll attempt to. The gunas are the modes of nature. Nirguna meaning without, without guna, and saguna with guna. So without qualities, with qualities. It's a point of contention between the personalists and impersonalists, because we as personalists believe that God is the controller of the gunas, and so he is without qualities, and the Mayavadis believe that when he comes into the material reality, that he is with qualities, and so he is under the influence of the modes of nature, whereas we believe that he's above the modes.
Okay, that's nice. I'm still looking for something which both of you haven't touched upon, and let me give you a sort of a hint or a head start on this. There's two kinds of qualities. There's material qualities and spiritual qualities, right? So with these two considerations, let someone else in the group answer this question of how devotees, in comparison to Mayavadis, describe the Lord as being nirguna and saguna. And remember these two things. We have to bring in those two material qualities or spiritual qualities into the equation. Then it becomes more clear.
Oh, the Lord is transcendental to the material mode of nature. So the Lord has all the spiritual qualities.
Okay, so you just touched upon a good point. So how would we call him then? He has all the spiritual qualities. So that means he is, out of those two words?
Saguna.
Saguna, exactly. So when we say that God has, you understand, Sorel? Saguna means with qualities, nirguna means without qualities, right? So we'll say as devotees, well, we'll repeat the Vaishnavacharyas in claiming that when we speak about God having qualities or being saguna, we mean just as Golokananda Priya said, God has qualities, but the qualities he has are spiritual qualities. So spiritual beauty, spiritual, Bhagavan. The definition of Bhagavan is what, Vignesh? What are the 6 definitions of Bhagavan? Someone who is unlimitedly.
Yes, all fame,
All fame,
knowledge,
all knowledge,
full of wealth.
beauty,
all wealth,
wealth, renunciation,
all renunciation, all
and
beauty.
one more. Yeah, beauty.
There's a few
Yes.
more. So
Power?
Power, all
Like,
strength, yeah.
All power.
So those qualities, those are spiritual or material?
Spiritual.
They're spirituals. So for the devotees, when we say that God is saguna, we say, yeah, he is saguna. He has spiritual qualities. And when we say that God is, what's the opposite then? Sorel?
Nirguna.
Okay, or not Goloka. It's nirguna. So what does that mean then? We just said he has qualities. He has spiritual qualities. So when we say he's nirguna, what does that mean? Without spiritual qualities?
No qualities.
Without material quality.
Exactly, without material qualities. Exactly. So that's why, Krishna has a form, but it's a form made of Satchidananda. It's not a form made of earth, water, fire, air, and ether. Right? Krishna has a personality, but it's not a personality that's made of matter. It's not, as Jacob also pointed out, the issue of the 3 modes of nature. He's not conditioned by the 3 modes of nature. So in that sense, he has no material qualities, right? But the Mayavadis, let's do a little bit more Mayavadi bashing here. Prabhupada said it's a sport. He called it his own, he's like it's sports for him. So following in its footsteps. But again, it's like it's kind of funny because like our real this is just an observation, my observation, but our real battlefield now, if we want to use that term, soldiers in Lord Chaitanya's army, whatever, is impersonalism is very well established in because just what came up to mind is Prabhupada's pranam mantra that he as a small trivia, who composed Prabhupada's pranam mantra? I'm sorry to go everywhere here, but it's sort of connected. Who composed Prabhupada's own pranam mantra?
I believe Prabhupada himself did.
Jacob said Prabhupada did. Anybody else has a different opinion? Jacob was right. Prabhupada himself composed his own pranam mantra. It's kind of far out. And so, Prabhupada says of himself, right? Namaste Sarasvati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Desh. The savior of the Western world, which is filled with impersonalism. So, because I was just about to say, like I did already before in the previous class, in the previous hour, that, the debate with impersonalists is not really relevant because what we're dealing with is more like just basic sense gratification and atheistic, reductionistic physicalism or materialistic science, neo-Darwinism, et cetera, et cetera. It's not really, but within a very intense sense gratifying civilization is embedded in it a very strong sense of impersonalism or voidism, where there is no God, or we're all God. But anyway, let's go back to at least what the impersonalists say about this saguna and nirguna. They'll say God has no qualities, period, like no material qualities, but God has material qualities when he manifests in a form made of the mode of goodness. Right? Jacob touched on that a little earlier, and we read that. If you read we all read it, right? Supposedly. So they'll say, for example, Krishna is Brahman that appeared in the material world in the mode of goodness. So it's transcendence in touch with matter in the mode of goodness primarily. What a great compliment to Krishna, isn't it? Oh, you're a mode of goodness avatar. Such an insult, Such an insult. But we say no. Our understanding of Saguna and Nirguna is exactly how you Prabhus explained it very well. Okay, so Sukumari, read for us again just the translation to verse 5, and then we'll ask Karuna Kishori to read verse 6.
Verse 5 again.
Yeah, verse 5 again. That's
Okay.
a nice way to.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. The Supreme Lord walks and does not walk. He is far away, but he is very near as well. He is within everything, and yet he is outside of everything.
Great. So now let's go with verse 6, and Karuna Kishore can read it.
Yastu sarvani bhutani atmanye vanapashati sarva bhuteshu chatmanam tato navi jugupsate. He who sees systematically everything in relation to the Supreme Lord, who sees all living entities as his parts and parcels, and who sees the Supreme Lord within everything, never hates anything or any being.
Good. He who systematically sees everything in relation to the Supreme Lord, who sees all living entities as his part and parcels, and who sees the Supreme Lord within everything, never hates or anything or any being. Why? Like, why? Let me ask you, Prabhu's that. Like, what's the connection? Because, like,
How can you hate your brothers?
You don't hate your brother? Yeah, you do. Sometimes you hate brothers, for sure.
Oh, you can't. You don't hate it. There are difficulties, but how can you? If you see Lord everywhere, if you see that we are actually connected, if you see that we are the same, all have the same. How can you say hate someone? Of course, if you see him that way. If you don't, as you said, like brothers hate themselves, yet because they don't have that kind of vision.
Okay, good answer. Anyone else want to add to that? Okay, I'll tell you my experience. You know, there's a few devotees in the International Society for Krishna Consciousness that I shamefully say I hate, okay? Or have some serious issues forgiving, and have, you know, some what's it called? Some grudge against, you know, or some feeling of having been
resentment.
Yeah, resentment. Exactly, resentment.
Mm-hmm.
So when I was preparing for this class, I was thinking of those, you know, couple of devotees, and I was like, okay, like, you know, they're parts and parcels of Krishna, you know, and they're in material bodies that are, you know, potencies of of the Supreme Lord, and okay, Krishna's in their heart, but I still think they're assholes. I mean, excuse my language, you know, it didn't really change my attitude towards them, you know. So let's
I have a point. I have a point here. It's a personal experience, if you allow me. Okay, this Christmas, I was in a car with a brother of mine. He was driving. He was really careless. We had a very serious car accident that we actually risked our lives, and it was totally. He was running like I don't know what in a snow. In a road full of snow, so it was obvious that sooner or later the car would get out of the road. So of course I am not very fond of him, but the funny thing is that we are in contact because we are the same God family, so I do know what he's doing in his life. The funny thing is that after this has done, he got a better car, he changed a better job, he has a better life, more money and stuff like that. So I said to myself, okay, almost killed me. I have problems with my back due to that accident, and I will keep them for all my life. And he gets benefits, and I get trouble. So why does it happen? And then I remember that he's actually is a real Paka Brahmin. Like he's excellent in devotional service, like his deity service and all these things. Is something like I have never seen. So I said, actually, Krishna loves him because, and he does give things to him that he doesn't even give to me, no matter that I get hurt to him. This actually helps me think very much that even if bad things happen to me, according due to devotees, this doesn't mean that Krishna doesn't work there. They're doing.
Good point. Your first point, I think, was very valid. I was just kind of playing the devil's advocate, but right, if we accept that Supreme Lord is our best friend, Bhoktaram Yagatapasam, right, Suridam Sarvadehinam, Krishna says at the end of the chapter 9 that, you know, the peace formula, as Prabhupada called it, right, to accept that he's the best friend of all living entities. And so obviously, if we actually see another person, another soul as a part and parcel of our best friend, of the Supreme Father, as Jyotirmai says, there's really just one family in the whole universe with the Supreme Father. Aham bijak padak pita, Krishna says, I'm the father of all living entities. And on top of that, you know, if that's not enough, then that Supreme Lord, who's our best friend, who, you know, not a blade of grass moves without his sanction, if he's in every atom, right, and in the heart of every body, of every soul that we encounter, then theoretically, at least, there's, you know, you'd have to be insincere to at least not think twice about hating a person given all these factors, right? But it seems like it's not automatic. It's not like you have to, you know, really practice forgiveness. You really have to practice being Krishna conscious. Like that type of realization comes as a result of Krishna consciousness. It's not just theoretical. It's not just like, okay, that sounds great. All right. Well, no, sorry. You know, you still hate other beings or other things if you're not Krishna conscious, if you're not God conscious, right? But this vision of seeing all entities, one of you, I don't want to put him on the spot or her on the spot, but you actually referred to it. I mean, you referred to a very important verse in the Bhagavad Gita about this sort of vision, the vision of, you know, I'm a fan of Shelter, the band. Well, they don't play anymore much, but you know, that big band like Raghunath from Wisdom of the Sages, he was part of this very successful band called Shelter. And they were on their own music, their own label, their own like record label. And they called it Equal Vision Records. Raghunath, man, he's such a poet. He's, I mean, the things, the kind of names he comes up for songs and for websites and for like his own little yoga studio / farm community / personal home. He calls it the Super Soul Farm. Anyway, so what was I saying before I got carried away in glorifying the Vaishnavas? Just see how magnanimous I am and non-envious I am. What was I talking about? Help me here. Help me. Anyway, I got
somebody wrote something in the homework about equal vision.
Oh yeah, exactly. Good, thank you. Yeah, so there's this verse. Well, can anyone come up with that verse?
Brahmane Sampane.
Yep. What chapter? What verse?
Sinichena Swaka Saupakecha. No, Brahmane Sampane.
Vidya Vinaya
Vidya Sampane.
That's from 5.
Yeah, it's chapter
5, number 18. Yeah. Everybody, yeah. Karuna Kishori took her Bhagavad Gita, so that's a good. Let's follow. Let's go to 5:18, Prabhus. Because you're gonna have to learn this verse, by the way.
Pandita Samadarshina.
You're gonna have to learn this verse by heart, so might as well go to it. But it's such a wonderful verse for, you know, environmental issues and it's, you know, it's the vision of the pure devotee, and this whole verse is about having that vision, right? That Uttama Adhikari vision. Vidya Vinaya Sampane Brahmane Gavi Hashtini Suni Chaiva Swabhake Cha Pandita Samadarshina. The truly learned with the eyes of divine knowledge. Oh, that doesn't seem to be the Bhagavad Gita as it is. Dwar. I went to Swami Muktananda's translation here. Anyway.
Oh God.
Well, the translations are, Prabhupada says, right, they're all basically the same. I mean, remember at the beginning before Prabhupada had his own Gita, they were reading from Ramakrishna's Bhagavad Gita, if I'm not mistaken. And he said, just don't read the commentary, but the translations are basically the same, even from the Mayavadis. You forgot to say boo. Anyway, kidding. Vidya Vinay Sampane Brahmane Gavahashini Shuni Chaiva Sapakacha Pandita Samadarshina. The humble sages, by virtue of true knowledge, see with equal vision a learned and gentle brahmana, a cow, an elephant, a dog, and a dog eater. So for the next 20 minutes, let's talk about the distinction between the madhyam, the kanishta, and the uttama adhikari, because that's what Prabhupada talks about in the purport here, and that's what this verse really talks about, the vision of an uttama adhikari. There's 3 verses in the 11th canto that I want to share with you, where the Bhagavatam itself describes these 3 types of devotees, the Kanishta, the Madhyam, and the Uttama. Now, is anyone unclear about these terms? Kanishta, Madhyam, and Uttama. Sorel, you know those 3 terms, right?
Can you mention when in 11 canto?
Yeah, I'll go to it right now. Boom. You see my page? I mean my screen?
Yeah.
45.
So it's interesting. The Bhagavatam canto 11th canto chapter 2 describes the Kanishta Adhikari at the beginning. It first starts with verse 45 where he describes the Uttama, then he goes to the Madhyam, and then he goes to the beginner. But let's do it the other way. Let's start with the beginner, with the Kanishta Adhikari, and then go up. So here's the Bhagavatam itself, the definition of the beginner or the Kanishta Adhikari. It goes like this: Acharyam eva haraye pujam yak shraddhaye hate natat bhakteshu chanyeshu sab bhakta prakrita smrita. Prakrita means material. So this prakrita bhakta is basically a materialistic devotee, a material devotee. In other words, a devotee of Krishna who still has a materialistic vision, right? So what is that prakrita bhakta? A devotee who faithfully engages in the worship of the deity in the temple, but does not behave properly toward other devotees or people in general, is called a prakrita bhakta, a materialistic devotee, and is considered to be in the lowest position. Bhakti Charu Swami explained it, I think, very nicely, where the Kanishta Adhikari sees only himself or herself as a devotee, and everyone else is a non-devotee. So it's like it's me and Krishna. Like that's reality, it's me and Krishna, and that's it. And like everybody else is just like, there's only one devotee in the world. It's me, and Krishna's my God, and that's it. And everyone else. That's why the Bhagavatam says not behave properly towards other devotees, right, or other people in general. So like to never respect any devotee, to never to think you're the best and everyone else is just inferior to you spiritually, and you're just so advanced and everyone else is less advanced. So I'm the only devotee and everybody else is a non-devotee, and it's just me and the deity, and I'll offer a lot of respect to the deity. With all due respect, you see that a lot in India, because at least in India there's a lot of piety, so there's one thing you see in India, I think, that you don't see so much in the West, and that is you see millions of people who have a lot of piety and yet who don't make the cut to Krishna bhakti, but because of their piety they'll go to a Krishna temple like every day even, but they'll just never become devotees in this life. But they'll still come and and take darshan or put in a little coin, but they won't chant or they won't stop eating meat, or they just won't become a devotee. But in the West, at least my experience is, it's just like all or nothing. Like you don't see, you know, West Latinos or white or African American or, you know, Asian people like going to an ISKCON temple for 25 years, just, you know, and, you know, whatever, like offering, you know, nodding their head to the deity and then going to work. Like you'd never see them, or you see them, you know, within a few months, like they're like, you know, Prabhupada ki jai, you know, and they're initiated or whatever, and they're devotees, you know. So why do I say that? Because I'm sure you've seen it too. And you see that also among the Indian, you know, the Indian diaspora in America, for example, where, you know, some respected devotee will be giving class, you know, and then in the middle of the class, some, you know, some pious Indian lady or gentleman will come in with a big bag of rice or something, and it's, you know, it's not to demean their offering. It's you know, whatever they're doing is really nice, but with complete disregard for the devotee speaking, right? Complete disregard for the devotee. The devotee is speaking Krishna Katha. You'd think, okay, wow, there's a class going on. I'm going to sit down and I'm going to listen. I'm going to listen to the sadhu or the sadhvi speaking, because that's what counts. That's the most important thing, is to, you know, to hear Krishna Katha from advanced souls, right? But no, it's like, who, like, you know, like, hey, Pata, come over here, you know, like interrupting the whole class just, you know, to go to the temple in front of the altar and, you know, offer their prayers for their babies or for their cousins or for whatever. I mean, again, I don't want to criticize, I don't want to stereotype, but we do see that a lot. And I think that's a symptom of a materialistic devotee, of a neophyte devotee, someone who just like, it's just about the deity and me, and everyone else, forget. I'm not going to even listen to the sadhu speaking because I don't care. It's really just about me and the deity. So according to the Bhagavatam, that's an example of a neophyte devotee, right? Faithfully engages in the worship of the deity in the temple, but does not behave properly towards other devotees or people in general. Right?
Question.
Yes.
How do you deal with such devotees?
You cut their tongue off.
They
you take their tongue with a plier.
No, but they're my friends, you know. But then it's like, you know, it becomes a bit tricky when they think you're like rubbish or something, and it's like, what do I do then? You know, it's just,
you have to tolerate,
you know what I mean,
and help them and go, you know, take them a step from where they're at and be really patient and very detached and very kind and always giving and non-judgmental, and that's the only thing you can do.
It'll get better.
Hmm?
It will get better.
It will get better. Yeah.
So to speak. Okay.
It will. One of my favorite sentences of all times of Prabhupada comes in the Nectar of Instruction, which you'll read soon enough. Prabhupada says, devotional service is so pure and perfect that once having begun, one is forcibly dragged to ultimate success. So that's the Kanishta. So, you know, be careful how we treat devotees. Like, you know, and probably like, you know, what does Prabhupada say, for example, that, you know, Vaishnava etiquette, appreciating devotees is so important that even if you're doing puja on the altar and you know, a guest, what to speak of a devotee, comes in, what are you supposed to do? You're supposed to stop your puja. You stop your puja to attend to the devotee. That reminds me, in the Lilamrita, you know, by Satsarup Maharaj, at one point Prabhupada wanted to go see Indira Gandhi or some other politician or maybe it was Dr. Radhakrishna, who wrote a commentary to the Gita, Impersonalist. Anyway, it was a famous person, right? So Prabhupada arrives and the secretary, you know, tells Prabhupada, oh, you know, sir, so-and-so, I forgot who it is, but it doesn't matter. So-and-so is finishing his puja right now. So, you know, he'll be with you shortly. He's finishing his puja. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, Prabhupada makes a comment, not because he's, you know, he's got his false ego hurt, not at all, but just to teach a lesson. That's, you know, typical Kanishta Adhikari. Here you have a Mahabhagavat, we believe, Prabhupada, who's coming to someone. And so if that person was not a Kanishta, but more of a Madhyam, he would immediately say, oh my God, we have a wonderful Vaishnava at my doorstep. excuse me, my Lord, I got to take care of your devotee. I got to attend your devotee, and your devotee counts more than you. I mean, you yourself says, right? One who says who's my devotee is not my devotee, but one who says who's my devotee of my devotee of my devotee, he's actually my devotee, right? Radhat Maharaj, one of his famous mottos is servant of the servant of the servant, right? So it's like, my Lord, your devotee, you just sent that devotee to me. Like, I got to go, excuse me, I got to, serve your servant first, right? So that brings us to the second verse, the Madhyamadikari, in verse 46. Does someone want to? I'll read the Sanskrit and then someone can translate. Maybe Sorel, you can read the English. Ishvare. And so you see, this is for us, this is really important. This verse is really important for us because we are instructed to raise ourselves by the mercy of Krishna to this Madhyamadikari platform. So for us, this is like the gold standard that we want to operate according to. Ishvare tad adhineshu balisheshu trisatsucha prema maitri kripo peksha ya karoti sa madhyamha. So Sorel,
An intermediate or second class devotee called Madhyama Adhikari offers his love to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is a sincere friend to all the devotees of the Lord, shows mercy to ignorant people who are innocent, and disregards those who are envious of the Supreme Personality of Godhead.
So let's unpack those four things. There's four things that are going on here, right? So Jacob, what's the first one? That a medium. By the way, madhyam is like middle, milieu, madhyam. Just for you Sanskrit lovers out there. So what's the first thing that a madhyam does?
He offers his love to the Supreme Personality of Godhead.
Okay.
He sees that category, that tattva.
Right. Well, can you say that again?
He sees the category, the Vishnu tattva. He sees that the Supreme Lord is distinct from himself.
Good. So he sees that the Lord is distinct from himself, and he offers his love to the Lord. By what? By deity worship, by chanting his holy name, by reading Shastra, right?
Right. Okay.
So that's the first thing that a Madhyamadikari does. And then, is everyone with us here, or where's Karuna Kishori?
I'm here.
Okay, so what does the Madhyamadikari do? What's the second thing that he or she does?
A sincere friend of the Lord.
Okay, so what does that mean? And what verse from the Nectar for extra credit? What verse from the Nectar of Instruction does that make us think of? What does that mean, Karuna Kishori? What does that mean to, at least that sentence? You don't have to give the reference to Nectar of Instruction, but this sincere friend to all devotees of the Lord.
It means that they don't put anyone into difficulty unnecessarily, and they try to foster the relationship between that individual and the Lord.
Well, here we're talking about being a sincere friend to all the devotees of the Lord.
Yeah. So it's like we don't put anyone into difficulty. We try to help them to build their connection with the Lord.
I see.
Because ultimately, that's the thing that's going to help them the best.
Gotcha. What does Rupa Goswami say about specific things that devotees do with each other as a sign of love, as an exchange of love?
Mm-hmm. Appreciate themselves.
Appreciate them, yeah. Has anyone read the Nectar of Instruction yet?
And also gifts. And also they give gifts to the
now
other
you're
devotees.
talking. Now you're
your mind is sharing prasadam.
There we go.
Exchange gift.
There we go. Has anyone not read the Nectar of Instruction at all? Everyone's looked at it. Sorel, Jacob, you've seen the Nectar of Instruction. Vignesh?
I've looked at it and read parts, but I have not read the whole thing.
Okay. So how come? So that verse didn't pop up in your mind like it did with Goloka?
No.
Okay. But it's a good connection, isn't it? Like to give gifts in charity, to accept charitable gifts, to reveal one's mind in confidence, to inquire confidentially, and to give prasadam and to accept prasadam. These are the 6 symptoms of love shared between one devotee and another, right? Because, to be it's like Indradyumna Swami says, like friendships in the material world is like, I scratch your back, you scratch, I assist you in your sense gratification, and I'm your friends because you somehow in your association, I get good sense gratification, and you're my friend because, in my association, you get good sense gratification. But on the devotee platform, it's like Karuna Kishori said, like I help you become or stay Krishna conscious. I encourage you in your Krishna consciousness. And specifically, we do Krishna conscious stuff together. Like we go to the movies together, we smoke joints together, we watch professional sports together. No, I'm kidding. We take prasadam together, we read Shastra together, we go on Harinam Sankirtan together. That's there's not a million things. We go on pilgrimage together, we go to Vrindavan together, right? Those are the things that are supposed to and I mean, I often quote Brigupati and Jujumna Swami because these are like my mentors, but Brigupati Prabhu often said, he says I have a lot stronger connections, friendships with devotees with whom I went out on Sankirtan, using that sort of terminology, meaning out, on book distribution, than with a lot of my own god brothers. And I find that profound, like he straight up says, like, I'm very close, a lot closer to a lot of, second generations from me devotees, like his own nephews, so to speak, grand disciples of Prabhupada. But because, I spent hours in the trenches, so to speak, with that devotee, there's a strong bond of spiritual friendship that develops. Right? Okay, so that's the second thing. Offers love to the Supreme Lord, sincere friend to the devotees. And Vignesh ji, what is the third thing that a devotee does, a Madhyam Adhikari does?
He shows mercy to the innocent people who don't have knowledge of the Lord.
And so what does that mean, practically speaking? How does that translate?
He doesn't look down upon the non-devotees.
Okay, he doesn't look down upon them. But what's the positive thing that he does do? Or she does?
He tries to spread knowledge to the non-devotees.
Exactly.
He's compassionate towards them.
Exactly. He tries, or she tries to give them Krishna. Right? Let me see if I still have it. I want to share with you. Yeah?
What point here, shows mercy, it can also be interpreted like gives prasadam.
Yeah,
because prasadam is mercy.
Absolutely. I don't have the video with me here, but here we go. Prabhupada remembers Narayan. Oh, but it's on the cloud, so it would take time to... There's a Prabhupada disciple called Narayan Prabhu. At least I'll show you his picture. And in one of those Prabhupada Memories videos, he speaks about how he was with Prabhupada in Prabhupada's room, and Prabhupada was asking him, like, do you see this ant on this table? Remember that story or not? Does that ring a bell with any of you? Yes, no?
No, never heard of it.
You ever heard that story? I think it's in one of the early Prabhupada Memories. So he's like, Prabhupada asks him, like, do you see this ant? And there was no ant, but he felt guilty about saying no to Prabhupada, and he's like, sort of, or yeah, kind of. And does that still, it doesn't ring a bell?
No.
Okay.
Not for me, no.
Do what?
No, I said not for me, no.
No. Okay, let me just.
No, Srila Prabhupada said, he didn't kill the ants.
Here we go.
He just took it out and put it outside or something. He wanted to get out the real business, and he said.
Okay, boom! I found it. Woohoo! Okay, so I'm going to share this with you. Share the screen. So this is Narayan, and this is kind of following what Jyotirmayi said here about compassion, wanting to give mercy to others, right? So here's the context. Prabhupada said, do you see this ant? And Narayan is like, I don't see an ant. And Prabhupada said, he says that we have to do anything in our power to help this ant spiritually. And maybe we can, well, listen, he's going to say it right now. Do you see the video here?
Yes.
Yes.
So my job is to see what is my duty to this ant. Do you guys hear us? Is it loud enough?
No.
Audio is very unclear.
It's very low, Prabhu.
De vuelta. I have a friend here helping. Hold on. Sí, lo hice. Ah, share sound. Woohoo, okay. Wait. Great. Now you should be able to. Oh, now you should be able to hear it. So Prabhupada said, we have a duty towards this ant.
Being solved, he wanted to get out the real business, and he said, my duty, he said, is to, my job, he said, is to understand what is my duty to this ant.
Do you hear it?
It's very low.
No.
Really? I shared it with the sound. Okay, well, let's try it like this.
Prabhu, send us on the chat, and we will listen to it. The YouTube link on the chat.
Yeah, I can
and
send the
WhatsApp.
link to us.
Why am I? No,
Yeah.
Fernanda, stop messing around with my. I don't know what. Stop it. Priya, like who's?
Okay, sorry. I cannot. I'm having some problem.
Yeah,
Okay.
because you're using my cursor, like my mouse here. Stop it. She took control of my computer. Okay, here.
Oh no. I said, not only there's an ant that I can't see, but now I have a duty to it. I said, what am I going to do? I said, somehow, Prabhupada looked at me beseechingly almost, somehow I have to help this ant. He said, and maybe I can chant. And he said, reaches down, he says, maybe I can chant Hare Krishna. Or he went like this, feed it a little prasadam. He said, if we can help one ant become Krishna conscious, then our whole movement is a glorious success.
If we can help one ant to become Krishna conscious, then our whole movement is a glorious success. I mean, that's powerful. If we can help one ant become Krishna conscious, then our whole movement is a glorious success. One ant, Prabhus, right? So that's what we're, trying to. I mean, the Madhyamadikari, the Uttamadikari, obviously also has compassion, but the Madhyamadikari, has to maybe push himself or herself to do that, to help others, and therefore he or she gives out free books or gives prasadam or tells people about Krishna or chants Krishna, in a dog that walks by into his ear. Or like I'm in Mexico right now, and I go swimming in the ocean, and there's like these pelicans that just hang out on the boats, that are the fishing boats that are parked, anchored out in the bay. So I like to stealthily swim up to the boat, and then I just scream Gauranga to them before they fly out. They hear the holy name, right? So yeah, that's what we're supposed to do. Okay, so that's the third one. And now for the fourth. What is the fourth? Oh, wait. Let me get you back to that. Let me share the screen again with you. And we can ask, I don't know, Sorel, what is the fourth thing that
disregards those who are envious of the Supreme Personality of Godhead?
Okay, disregards. So you just avoid them, right? Like someone, blasphemes Krishna or blasphemes the devotees. You just avoid them, You avoid them. So that's our gold standard, Prabhus. And now let's finish with the last 3 minutes that we have with our ideal. I'll read the Sanskrit and then Jacob we'll ask Vignesh to read. So this is what we really want to strive for. Sarva bhuteshu yat pashyet bhagavat bhavam atmana bhutani bhagavatyatmanyesha bhagavatottamaha. Translation, please read for us, Vignesh, here, highlighted.
Shri Havid said, the most advanced devotee sees within everything the soul of all souls, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Shri Krishna. Consequently, he sees everything in relation to the Supreme Lord and understands that everything that exists is eternally situated within the Lord.
Right. So coming back to the analogy of like the Kanishta saying, seeing there's only me as a devotee, no one else is a devotee but me. The Madhya making 4 distinctions. Okay, there's the devotees, I love them and serve them. There's the non-devotee innocent people, I give them mercy. There's the non-devotee envious, I avoid them. And then there's Krishna or God, who's my, my all in all. The Uttama Adhikari, it's the opposite from the Madhyam. The Uttama thinks, I'm the only non-devotee. Everybody out there is a devotee. Only I wasn't able to become a devotee. And so therefore, do you understand why Prabhupada in some purport says that the Uttama Adhikari cannot preach? Can someone explain that to me? Jacob, why is it that the Uttama Adhikari cannot preach Krishna consciousness?
Well, the aim of preaching would be to make somebody a devotee. So if the Uttama Adhikari sees everyone as a devotee already, except himself, then he wouldn't, what's the point of trying to preach? He sees that everybody's already actively serving Krishna.
And so what does he say? This is really far out. What does he say about an Uttama Adhikari what does an Uttama Adhikari have to do in order to preach?
He must come down to the platform of Madhyam Adhikari.
Does everybody get that? An Uttama Adhikari has to consciously come down to the level of Madhyam Adhikari. And it's really cool, and this is good news for us. I mean, it really is, because we want happiness, we want nectar, we want ecstasy, we're anandamaya vyasat. We want to laugh, we want to enjoy. That's just our nature, right? Prabhupada says, not only does an Uttama Adhikari have to come down to the Madhyam Adhikari, but he does so because the pleasure of preaching Krishna consciousness is so high that an Uttama Adhikari even comes down to the Madhyam Adhikari to taste that nectar. I remember I was on a Harinam with Indradyumna Swami in Australia. No, it was in Poland. And we were at the beach, and our party stopped for some time because people were taking selfies or photographs, because there was this big African-American Guru Kuli boy. Forgot his name. Huge, massive, super handsome, like GQ style, buff like anything. And, like nobody had seen a black person in Poland yet, probably. This is like 2001 or something. And so like we were like, literally like every 2 meters, like people would like rush us to take pictures with the black devotee, And so we were going extra slow one time. So I remember there was one guy though, one Polish guy who was looking at the Harinam as we were singing, and he had tears in his eyes. He was just like touched. And I remember I locked into looking at him. I was playing Mridanga, and as I was playing Mridanga for Sri Prahlad or Tribi, I was looking at that guy, like literally having like some sort of physical experience in seeing the devotees. And I remember Indradyumna Swami saw me seeing him. And I remember he came up to me and he said, there's no higher ecstasy. There's no higher ecstasy than witnessing someone, come to Krishna consciousness. Huh. So yeah, if we can, get to the Madhyam Adhikari platform, we're good to go. Like, we don't have to worry necessarily about, anything else really. Okay, Prabhus, who wants to sing Hare Krishna for 3 minutes? Okay, I'll do it. Mute you all, and we'll finish with this in honor of Srivas Thakur. How do I? Sorry, okay, mute. All right. Srivas Thakur ki jai. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Jaya Srivas Thakur, Jaya Srivas Thakur, Jaya Srivas Thakur, Jaya Srivas Thakur. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Prabhupada. Jai Prabhus. Thank you very much. May Srivas Thakur bless us. And let us all see each other next week. Haribo.
Haribol, thank you.